Joe Rogan was in the news because he made a pretty controversial quote about gamers and gaming, and PewDiePie took some offense.
Controversial, meaning he's being very judgmental, or
kind of,
just like...
and it's weird because it's like you can take really any specific clip that anyone says and blow it into a mountain, like a molehill into a mountain. And so PewDiePie reviews it. So let's look at PewDiePie's intro, and then we'll look at Joe Rogan's actual quote, and then we'll look at PewDiePie's reaction. So let's take a look.
Joe Rogan, you have taken 2 steps too far. How dare you, you shiny head son of a bitch, criticize video games?
Actually spit.
For those of you who don't know, warning, Joe Rogan criticized video games. And this is news. You don't get it, Joe. Guess you're not a gamer, huh? What the fuck? Joe, I thought you liked Quake. Hey, Joe, you may think I'm a loser in real life, but in the gaming world, you're the loser. God, I'm good. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Joe Rogan is a podcast host. I think he's probably the most popular podcast host, I think at least. And, I mean, I don't know how you even have a podcast in 2020 without pissing someone off every week. And today, I guess he pissed off the gaming community. This time, you pissed off the wrong crowd, Mr. Joe. How dare you? How dare you criticize video games? So what did Joe Rogan say? Well, let's check it out.
Yeah, all right. So just to be fair to Joe Rogan, we'll look at the full clip, and then we'll see PewDiePie's reaction. So Joe Rogan is probably like a Gen Xer.
So are all of these reaction videos of PewDiePie? Okay, I for people who don't know, I never watched a PewDiePie video except when you showed me. So I didn't know who he was and how long, like so many questions. But when he does these reaction videos, he's showing his first time watching these things?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
So let's take a look at Joe Rogan's quote.
But I think that there's a lot of people that don't have any, there's no one, they're not modeling their life after someone that they see that they admire. Someone that's successful, someone that is doing something that they enjoy and love. Sometimes kids have to see that. Right. And if their parents are living a bullshit life and their neighbors are living a bullshit life and most of their family lives a bullshit life, they just fucking lay around, you know, and then they seek refuge in drugs or video games or something that stimulates them. And video games are a real problem.
So I think that's his fundamental miscalculation there is that video games are an escape, which they can be, which they definitely are, you know, just like alcohol or anything addictive can become an escape, or any escape can become addictive, just like video games. But the point is video games can also be productive now because it's $1 billion industry. You can be like a game tester, you can be like a game developer, you can be like a streamer. Mm-hmm. And so that's just the fundamental attribution error that he's applying here, is that gaming is just an escape. And so let's keep going with his.
Probably because that's how he's the only way he's ever really used it. And so he doesn't know the nuances yet because right. And so he hasn't really delved into it.
Yeah, he's really just elaborating his views on gaming from his point of view, which is fine.
I'm like, it's $1 billion industry, dude. It's huge. I'm like, so many. Uh-oh.
But let's finish what he says.
Problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school, and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like, that's the future. This way, you're doing something exciting and fun, and or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
You have children. I have children, and it's a big battle in the house.
Yes.
And my kids, I don't know if you're going through this, but my kids are now saying, "Well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. He's
That's
a man."
real too. That's
right?
real too now.
So like that's 1 in a billion, kid.
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, "Do you know how few people make it as a comedian?" I was like, "Okay, does anybody make it? Somebody makes it, right? They figure out how to do it. They make a living. I'm gonna do that. Just stop. Like, I know what I'm doing."
Hey, so he kind of redeems himself there. He's like, like that guy is the guy he's interviewing. I don't know his name. So he says like, "Do you have kids?" Because I have kids, and they play video games. And they tell me like, this guy made a lot of money playing video games, and he says it's 1 in a billion. Where Joe Rogan's like, "You know what? I heard the same thing when I was trying to become a comic," and he's like, "You know what? Did someone figure it out?" He's like, "I'm just gonna figure it out," and that's what and that's
what I'm thinking. Like, a lot of times these hobbies can become someone's passion, and they find a way. Like, why do you stifle anyone else's passion or talk crap on someone if they found a way to make money from it? Like,
but
maybe foster that and then allow them to have other hobbies, and that's how people can find work that they're passionate about. But
that's kind of the BS about the controversy, because he kind of learns how to give them the benefit of the doubt in the same clip. Like the sentence right after he says gaming, it's a waste of time. He says, what?
Just because he got bit by the gaming addictive bug.
No, right, but he also right there he understands that you can make a living off of this.
Yes.
And like people tried to make the same argument against me, and I was and I found out a way how to do it. So
it's just gonna be hard work. It's not just as easy as being a consumer to make money from it.
So let's finish. Let's finish this quote on this.
I was real lucky that my parents were not around very much, so I didn't get much advice. So I figured it out myself. So there was no one telling me I couldn't do it.
You're doing fine.
So
Greenfield.
I was like, I'm gonna find my way through this, and since no one's telling me it's impossible, no one's telling me I can't. Occasionally, I would hear someone say, "What are the odds?" I'm like, listen to this fucking loser. That's my thought was always like, that guy's a loser. Like, if you think like that, you're a loser. But there are kids
he just called himself a loser.
A lot of fucking money playing video games.
It's
but the thing is, like,
the calcification
you have to be
process.
adaptable. You have to be able to play multiple video games, because the one video game that you get really good at, what are the odds that's going to be around 5 years from now?
Right.
Okay, so I thought that quip very interesting, very insightful. I don't think he's as judgmental as people point him out to be. And so let's see PewDiePie's reaction.
He just had to think about it a little, maybe, or some gamer pissed him off.
But he did it in the same clip. Like,
so that's
he
good.
rounded out his thought process.
Maybe that's why people like watching his clips.
Yeah.
Because if that's what he
They
does
should.
every time, then maybe, that's why he did well as a podcaster. Because he does talk to controversial people all the time. And you're like, wait, what? But it's good because it gives a platform to see and hear all of that. All of their opinions. Yeah, right. Even though you might have been offended at first. It's like, just hear it out. And
well, let's see what a millennial thinks about that Gen Xer's opinion on video games.
Purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're thinking, like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month.
It's almost like if you have like a stream or something like that with like 100 viewers and they like pay you X dollars.
Apply the math elsewhere. Numbers are numbers.
Hey man, you ever heard about I've been doing it wrong. Gaming money? Get the fuck out of here. I'm all about that jiu-jitsu bread. I'm quitting YouTube right now.
In 3 years,
I could be making jiu-jitsu money this whole time, and no one told me there was jiu-jitsu money laying around everywhere.
I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school, and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family.
I could have a Mercedes, jiu-jitsu Mercedes. God damn it! God damn it! I've been sold a pipe dream that isn't real. I make no money. God
you're
damn
doing
it.
something exciting and fun, and you don't. Or you could just be playing.
Didn't you just say that gaming is too fun? Correlating message here, Joe.
Fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid, just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
You have children.
You gotta waste your time playing video games. Jiu-jitsu, not a waste of time. I mean, I get what he's saying though. At least with jiu-jitsu, you're building your body, you're building your muscles. You're learning a skill that you're gonna have for life instead of a video game that comes out. There's always a new cycle of games. Even if you get good at one, there's always gonna be a new one. I guess is my point. So I get it. I get his point. It's just like the worst example ever with jiu-jitsu. And that's another thing. Like, you wouldn't even have.
But that's what he knows.
Be good at gaming to make a living, obviously, right? There's gaming compared to jiu-jitsu as a superior job. It's like the worst example you can make. You can make analytical content, reviews, streaming, YouTube, esports, managing. I like all these so much aspects of gaming, and it's such a massive market. Developing, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And I guess that's the thing. Like, who gives a shit what Joe Rogan has to say about video games? Like, no one cares. That's like makeup. That's like me saying makeup stupid. You cannot make money. Makeup doesn't happen. But
you can get a Mary Kay Cadillac.
Talking about this, that makes it so interesting, and his comment about wasting time. It's almost like Joe Rogan accidentally brought up the discussion of what is the meaning of life. Building a career for yourself, or you're making money and building something out of yourself, or just having fun in the moment and enjoying yourself. And
yeah, those are like basically they just outline two different ways to have a hobby. Whereas like one, or like. One, it's like for fun and you're just doing it as an escape, and one, it's like for production, like you're trying to make it into something and like focus your energy on it to like, hopefully build something on it.
You want it to consume you when you want it to be your work. And so that means you go into depth. But I guess he's never gone that far. He's only been hooked as a consumer, and just like he might be like he doesn't know how to step away from it. He has to like, because of his competitiveness or whatever. Like he seems to have like a love-hate relationship with his games, but he's never deep enough to know the nuances of why this is $1 billion industry compared to what's the jiu-jitsu industry, or
MMA. MMA is the comparable. Like
okay,
how many
and that's big,
athletes make it in the MMA.
Yeah, but that's because he knows so much about it,
right?
Where he doesn't understand the gamers or the people who make money off of it, because he doesn't understand how it's done, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's like he makes money off podcasts. Come on.
So yeah, there was a Twitter bad, but yeah, I saw a bunch of comments as well. Quit gaming 8 months ago, bought a new car. I have an amazing new girlfriend. I make a shitload of money, and I'm buying a house this spring. I party every weekend. I'm never home. I enjoy life. Do yourself a favor. Stop trying to make a gaming career. It's cringe as fuck. And of course, we have the contrast here. Quit my job 4 months ago. Bought a car. Got out of an unhealthy relationship. I make more money now playing video games. I also use my platform to bring awareness to mental health and bipolar. Life is great. Do yourself a favor. Stop being close-minded. It's cringe as fuck. I wasted my time playing video games as a kid to such a degree that I wanted to know how to make them. I wasted time learning some coding, art, sound, and music, and now been wasting my life for nearly 30 years writing music for them, and companies waste lots of money paying me for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of music and video games. I'm not even a gamer.
Even though I kind of memed it already, I feel like it'd be so easy for me to come at Joe Rogan's statement and be like, yeah, Joe, you f***ing idiot. I make money playing video games. What the f*** you talk about, you dumb bitch? How can you be so stupid? He really just sounds like a boomer. I'm sure when I'm old and I'll have my podcast and I'll just go, yeah, these fucking kids, man, back in my day, we play real games. Now these kids are playing VR, SMER. Real men back in my day, we play Fortnite, goddammit. We play Battle Royales, but they don't even know what that means.
That's the calcification of the mind. Getting old.
This is such a generational gap that's always existed. Even with novels, I'm sure people said like, oh, people wasting their time reading books. You should go out there in the real world, enjoy the real world. Cringe. It's just a thing that's always been going on, and it's always gonna keep happening. But I also find it, I do find it kind of cringe with all the streamers going after Joe, being like, well, I make a living. He's so stupid. It feels kind of irresponsible almost to just say that, because I love the idea that I can inspire my audience, or I don't know, people in general, if they want to pursue YouTube and other gaming related things, like, yeah, go for it. But I don't want to sell people on the pipe dream that is possible for everyone, because it isn't. Just like any sport or profession, you have to be in that one top percent, or 0.1 or whatever the percentage may be, to really be successful at it.
Not everyone could be
Coco
Melon.
To everyone. and that's just reality of life. Does that mean you shouldn't pursue your dreams? No, but I think it's important to have some perspective of what you're pursuing at least. And I think especially when you're talking about something that is actually, like what Joe was saying, highly addictive. Like the video games are dopamine hits, and having kids being so exposed to them for hours and hours, I can't honestly say that I think that's necessarily a good thing either. It kind of worries me as well a little bit when we design something to be addicted. And even myself as a kid, I was probably, looking back, I was definitely actually addicted to video games, and I think a lot of kids are. I think it's way more common than people think. So even though there's a ton of benefits to video games, like I read studies saying that it helps with logical thinking, like puzzle solving. I guess that's logical thinking.
Video games also help with, you can make decisions faster without compromising accuracy. So that's a big benefit. But anyways, it seems like the moral of this video is just don't judge too harshly other people's hobbies. But also, I guess don't
how they make money.
Yeah, and don't be so sensitive. I guess if that's your dream and people criticize it because it's unlikely. But yeah, let's keep going.
Well, I like how he thinks that all those gamers have no role models. Joe Rogan.
But that's true. It's like how many, like all of the role models in the gaming community are pretty young. They're like millennials, most of them.
Yeah, but so how does he propose it? Because they're gaming. Like there's communities. I
don't think Joe Rogan understands like the nuances or the size of the gaming community. That's just his misunderstanding.
There's a whole.
So let's keep going.
Time if you think that's important. Yeah, it can improve your memory. You can meet friends online. It can help you get out of mental health situations. There's a ton of positive benefits, but I think that doesn't make gaming above criticism. It seems like the gaming community is so sensitive to criticism. Like just acknowledging that gaming addiction is a thing and that it is a problem, which I think is what Joe is trying to get at. He just brought up a terrible example, at least I think.
That's also people in the weed community. Sometimes when you bring up weed addiction, they get really
offended.
Yeah,
as if like it's.
And it's like it's not that weed is like the substance it is addictive, but people who get an over reliance on it. That's the addictive property. And like video games, same thing. It's like not really addictive in its substance, but it's addictive in if people keep reaching for it as an escape.
Well, do you see it's like any addiction, how people respond like to alcohol compared to like, remember when we first went to the shows for the weed shows and I never felt the way people felt when they got really high, the couch lock.
Right, but I mean, I think that's just the point is like you shouldn't be offended when it's called out as addictive, whether it's weed or games.
Yeah, but
whether you're a gamer or a stoner.
I feel like they should be able to see each other and see that there are problems sometimes.
It's hard to see a problem if you don't yourself like suffer from it, I guess. All right, we got 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah, invite me to your podcast, Joe. I love you. Come on, man. This is what it really meant, guys. It doesn't diminish all the good. You can talk about both.
We don't have the
it's
same.
Okay.
We don't have the same marketing combined.
You know, if gaming is your only hobby, I would invite you to try something else. It's fun. That's the fun thing about life. It's like what we talked about in the beginning. Is life about pursuing, trying to build something big for yourself or just enjoying yourself? And I think personally, the answer is just a balance of both. To me, the idea of going through life being just feeling comfortable and feeling happy in the moment, being entertained, is terrifying. I hate that idea. I never want to live life just like that. But also, living life, when I look at people that are all about optimizing and trying to be as effective as possible and accomplish as much as possible, that makes me really disgusted as well. I think there's just a middle ground.
So that's interesting. He says there's one side of gaming where they're just always constantly looking for like satisfaction, like in the moment. And he's like, that's really like gratuitous and gross. And then on the other hand, there's like
instant gratifiers.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, there's like the gamers that are like focused on like efficiency and like their hobby is like all about like just like getting better. And he's like, that's horrifying too. And he's like, you know, people need to find like a middle ground between like enjoying it and like, or, you know, taking it seriously of, you know, whatever your hobby is. Mm-hmm. 1 minute left.
I feel like I am though becoming more boomer across the years. Like a few years ago, as you guys know, I got into reading a lot more and Oh God, I sound like such a boomer. It's just like comparing that hobby,
I'm going the
which is something you
opposite.
kind of have to force yourself a little bit to get into, if you're not used to it, to something
Watch
compared to video
videos.
games. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone, and everyone gets different things out of different hobbies. But I can't honestly say I get that much out of video games compared to reading a book that I feel like, oh, I learned something. I actually got something out of this, even if it's fiction. I can still, oh,
Probably
cool. I could.
But that's
Because
like,
he has a much more bigger library of games than he does of books in his head.
but that's like comparing like music to movies. Like you get different things from both. Like video
Yes.
games and books, like they're completely different mediums. And so there are things video games can do that books can't. And there
No,
are
but
things books
he's
can do
saying
that video games can't.
he's thinking that the knowledge he gains from books he feels is a lot more than he gets from
I-
games. And I said, but that's only because his library, his index of what he has
Right.
from games is so much bigger.
His brain is
so now if
saturated
he
with
plays
games.
a game, it's so much easier for him to learn something. Whereas when he's trying to do something that's a little more difficult, by the time he gets to the end of the book, he's like, oh my gosh, I learned so many words, I learned so many Lego or
Right.
whatever, like whatever it is that he feels he's
Yeah.
lacking that makes it difficult for him to read, where I'm like the opposite. I hate like sitting there trying to look at something or play the game because it's so hard. But if I played it and made it through, I would feel very like,
Yeah, so if you're a
accomplished.
reader and you go to video games, you're going to learn as much as Pewdiepie learned from reading because it's a completely different hobby and like medium for you to engage in.
yeah, I was like watching you play last time. I was like, wow, it's like a movie.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe how much it's
Last of Us 2,
grown.
yeah.
Like how like the whole the graphics and how fast it was going and how you can look. It was just amazing. But I'm not a gamer, but I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, let's finish this clip.
Oh yeah.
Immerse myself in a character. I guess you can do that in games, but I don't think games are that good at it. I don't think they are. I can't remember the last time I played a game and be like, oh, I learned something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are examples, but it just doesn't happen as often, is what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is find a balance. By all means, enjoy video games. It's a great hobby. It's super fun. It's fun to share with other people, and that's what made my job possible, and I couldn't be happier about it. But also find a balance. I think that's what makes life fun, doing different things.
So I think video games is now like a respectable medium, as it's up there in terms of like movies or music or even like books. And so people who are into video games should be treated really with as much respect as people who are into movies or people who are into reading or people who are into the other traditional or music or other traditional media. And so I think that's just something that is being learned because video games just emerged so recently, like just more recent than any other medium. But you know, there are like therapeutic aspects of it.
Grown so much faster because of how the internet and technology has allowed it, it has allowed gamers to imagine and implement what they're good at to make a living off of.
Yeah, like
it.
Minecraft. It's so cool. Like, who could have, like, people love Minecraft. Like, I do too. I wish I had it when I was a kid. All right. Well,
Minecraft.
that's it for today's show. Oh, yeah. By the way, we're trying to get these masks to Pewdiepie. I'm wearing it as a headband because it's really hot here. It's like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But,
For cold places. it's
yeah,
temperature
Bro Army, if you're watching this, help me out if anyone has a line to Pewds. Hi, everyone. Hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more.
Happy 420 wherever you are. Bye.
And if you don't have buds, we're your buds.